Welcome. Welcome, everyone. My name's Maria Ebersol from the Association for Therapeutic Eurythmy in North America. And this organization, Athena for short, is very happy to present this webinar this evening with Barbara Bresette-Mills about the health of our eyes. If you would like to show your appreciation through a donation, you are welcome to do so at therapeuticeurythmy.org. And we wish you a very healthy evening. Thank you.
Great. Welcome, everyone. Thank you, Maria. Thank you to Athena for sponsoring this evening, and to all of you for coming. I'm sure we're all in different places, so I'm not sure if we're saying good evening or good afternoon, but I'm so glad that you're here. So before we begin actual eurythmy movements, I wanted to say a few things. And the first is to acknowledge the pioneers of this work for eurythmy for the eyes. So I had a teacher, I worked with Margaret Tiersch in Switzerland, who's just quite a wonderful person, and she's been my main teacher. And then the people that she worked with, Daniela Armstrong, also a eurythmist, and Dr. Ilse Knauer, ophthalmologist, all inspired by the work of Rudolf Steiner to do this eurythmy for the eyes. So it's a nice background of people in this work that have inspired me. So to follow that, we will go through a brief introduction to give a framework to the exercises that I will bring. And as we go along, I want to encourage you, once an exercise has been shown, to not look at the screen and try to recreate it just looking off in your own space. Since we're working with the eyes and we're working with our whole being and the vitality of our whole being, and since we're trying to relieve tension and strain from looking at the computer, it would be a little bit of a, what's the word? Just not quite doing what we're asking us to do by looking at the computer itself. So if you know what I mean, it's a little bit hypocritical, is that the word? And I'll try to guide us through so that you'll be able to carry on without looking. So to begin with, I wanted to share an imagination that we can hold in while we're doing the work and later. And it's a picture that Rudolf Steiner gives about the eye. And I'll read part of the quote. But first, if you can just imagine the starry heavens. We all know what it's like to go out in the night and see the beautiful stars shining down. So the quote, he says, picture to yourself the starry heavens, the light-filled sphere around the earth, and then reduce that imagination until it is quite small. What you then have is the interior of the human eye. The human eye is actually a world in miniature. The reflections in the eye resemble the myriad surrounding stars. If we were as small as the image of the human being in the eye and could examine it from inside, its interior would be infinitely large. Our impression would be the same as when on Earth we look up to the glittering stars at night. So I think it's just a wonderful picture to carry. And we know that when we look out in the world, that we are taking it into ourselves. And so to think about our eyes as infinitely large from the inside, I think is just a wonderful thing to carry. So we know then that the eye is an orb. We call it an eyeball. It's a sphere. And it can look in all directions, up and down, and left and right, and it's quite movable. And it also, we can look at it in relation to our whole being. We often, in Waldorf education or in anthroposophical medicine, we can look at the human being as threefold. So head, heart, hands, thinking, feeling, willing, the nerve sense activity, the thinking, the rhythmical system, and the metabolic. And the eye also has those three parts. We think of the front of the eye where the cornea is, a little bit more, this harder area. In the middle, we have the blood vessels and where the fluids are. And in the back, we have the optic nerve. So it's just a little bit of a framework so that when we do the exercises, we can have a sense of the why. And the last thing I'd like to share is that as we do some of the exercises, it's really nice if you can just let your gaze be quiet or soft, and that we let the movements work in us and through us, and then see how we respond. See if you have a sensation in around the eyes or within your own being. Yeah, so I think from there that maybe we can begin. Oh, maybe one more thing. When we see another person and we look at their eyes, right? We see the color. We see maybe if the eyes are bright or dull. We see the lids and all around the eye, but we're only seeing a very small part of it. And because it's a sphere, we know there's more of it that's recessed in the head. And so that we're also working in our eurythmy to address the whole human being and the whole movability, breathability of the eye and the forces of the moisture and fluid that nourish the eye. So I'm going to just stand up. If you want to join me, you can. If you want to watch for a while, that's fine too. We know that when we're looking at the computer already, we all are doing it right now. And normally, if you go into any coffee shop or maybe a library, you see people most often sitting, looking at the computer, hands on the computer, and there's a posture and a limited viewing, a limited space. We're a little bit closed off. Maybe our head is inclined toward the screen. And if you're really someone that has to work a long day in front of your computer, your gaze is at a particular distance for a long time, which isn't the normal thing that our eyes want to do. You know, we look out far and we look over here and we see the periphery. So we want to first reestablish ourselves in connection to the space we are in, come into our uprightness, and let our eyes have this accommodation, which is its natural activity, right? that we don't just stay looking at one distance for a long period of time. So the first thing that we can do, I'm just going to go back into that position a little bit, feel what that's like if I'm typing away, and then I'm going to let it go, and I'm going to stand up. What a wonderful thing to do after you've been sitting is to stand. Feel your feet on the earth, where your toes and the balls of your feet and your heels, this connection below. And then up above, the roundness of our head can shine with that beautiful roundness of the heavens above that we pictured, that starry heaven, right? And we are in the middle, connected to above and below. And for a moment, I'm just going to come to the middle where my heart and breathing are, and open myself to the widths. And once more, I'll come back just to my own center. So even this activity of being able to get up out of your chair can be a wonderful awakening, a sort of a conscious moment to change the activity. We'll do more with that in a minute. But the next thing that is so helpful after being at the computer is to move. A lot of people go for a walk, right? So we want to come into our limbs, come into our arms and hands in a bit of a conscious way. So we're going to work with some simple rhythms. I'm going to start with more of a clapping with the arms, and then we'll follow it with stepping with our feet. And I'm going to come at a little bit of a diagonal as I move this way. You can face whatever direction you like. The first rhythm will be an anapest, a short, and a long. And we're going to have short. You could either touch your hands together twice, a little bit of a springy motion, a short, and then the long, like a clap forward. I'm going to do 3 or 4 of them and just see if you can follow along. And if you have the sense of it and don't need to look at your screen, you can look away. A short, long, short, long, short, long. One more, short, long. It's an active rhythm. It's in a way bringing us forward and going far into the distance. I'm going to add a stepping, the same rhythm, 2 small steps and a long step. A short, long. Short, long. Short, long. Short, long. All right. Let's put them together. That's one rhythm. A bit of a forward going. Hopefully a little bit enlivening. But now we're going to do the opposite rhythm, and we're going to do it when we move backward. We're going to do a long, short, like from above down, long, long. One more, long, Maybe already you're a little bit aware of the space behind you, which again, when we're at the computer, we're not so conscious of. So we're trying to reconnect ourselves not only to the forward space, but to what's behind. I'm going to take steps backward with that rhythm. Long step, short, short, long, short, short, long, short, long. And let's do the same. Let's put them together. Oh. Oh. And in yourself, try to experience yourself. What is different? How does it feel different? How are you conscious or aware? We're going to now quicken it up a little bit in that I'm just going to do 2 forward, short, short, long, 2 backward, long, short, short. So we're going to change a bit more quickly and try to feel that difference in the moment of transition. 2 times short, short, long. Now change back, long, long. And we're going to add a 3rd variation, which will be side to side. And it's going to be a little bit trickier in that we have short. And then I'm just going to use the left arm, long, short. And the right side will be different. Long, short, long. Once more. Short, long, short, long, short, long. And if we did it with the feet, we could either bring a little step together or a tiny step crossing over. I'm going to go left first, short, long, together, short. Now right, long, short, long. I'm going to repeat that. Short, long, short, long, short, long. Let's put them together. Short, long, short, long, short, long. Once more. Short, long, short, long, short. Great. So now let's do all 3. We'll have the forward going, the backward going, the left, and the right. And again, if you feel like you have a little sense of it, try to not look at the screen and put yourself in your own 3-dimensional space with all these directions. Here we go. Change. Please. Short. Short. One more time. Same. Short, short. Long. 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 Short. Long. Good. So maybe I'll leave it there. We could do it again, but I think I'll leave it there for now. And I hope you feel a little bit of this waking up of the feet and maybe a little bit of the reconnection to your three-dimensional space. We're going to take another step in that direction of working within the space. And now we're going to do more of a breathing exercise, not with our breathing, but with our movement. And this time we're going to start in the middle. We'll have an expanding movement and a contracting, which probably most of you have done in some way. This opening from the heart out to the periphery and coming back again. We'll do it 4 times in such a way that we're not trying to get to the outside or trying to get to the inside, but that we have a movement that is breathing, always in relation to each other. Here we go, from the center to the periphery. Opening and closing. Opening. One more time. So we have our own middle, our own center, and we can reach all the way out to the periphery. And we know in our seeing that we have that peripheral vision. And already maybe there's a little bit of a sense of how big this space can be. If we were the small being inside the eye, right? How wide that interior space is. But here we are breathing within our own world. So as with the previous exercise, we're going to do a little bit of movement, right and left. Right now, I'm just going to take a step back together and a step back together. So as I breathe out, and when I come back in, I bring my feet together. And together. Opening, closing. I hope just through this movement you experience not just the opening of the arms, but that your whole middle as well opens, that your back opens, your chest opens as well. The second part of this breathing exercise is now going to go into the realm below. I mentioned these 3 parts, right? The rhythmic, the metabolic, the nerve sense. So we're going to go down below. And as we get down there, put your hands on either side of your own body. We're not in front, we're not behind. Really at your own sides. And in a way that's a transitional space, a place between what is front and what is behind. And we're in this little bit of a threshold place or transitional space. And in a way, we're going to let that breathe, but from below up, as if the water, the tide is slowly rising, and we very gently just let the arms rise without any effort. So we don't need to go very high, not like I'm going to pick up shopping bags or something, right? We let it go and just very gently We let it breathe up and back down again, and almost goes beyond our fingertips. There's a little bit of heaviness. Breathing up and down. I have a little bit of this picture. You've probably seen photographs or videos, of the jellyfish when they're in the water, right? And they have that movement where they sort of, and then they go. So I have a little bit of that imagination, but maybe with a slower tempo. So as we're rising, we have an opening, like a buoyancy under the upper arms, rising, falling. Again, let the shoulder blades sort of expand. The warmth coming up and down. Now I'm going to add 4 steps. A lot of the work with the eye is working with this rhythm of the 4 to 1. The circulation that has like the 4 pulses, and then the breathing, this 1 breath. But so we're going to do 4 steps, forward, backward, forward, backward. Doesn't have to be large. And with this gentle breathing as we go. And forward. And back. And if we stay with the warmth and the gravity, it's hopefully you can feel it through your legs as well, right? That there's a breathing that happens. Maybe it helps the circulation of the legs. So we've had the middle, the depths, and now we're going to go up into the light above, a totally different realm. There where our head, where a lot of our sense organs are, the eyes included. And if up here, we could imagine that sun and the light shining down, we open to it, and then it's as if we let the light shine in our arms, and then we can give ourselves a little golden cup. And we let it breathe open and shining on our head. Opening, shining down a little bit above, and maybe even a tiny bit behind. And then I'm going to open once more to the middle, and once more breathe in the center. We're coming back to the place in the middle. So we're going to repeat this once more. We'll do the middle 4 times. We'll do the below, again, down and up and down and up with 4 steps, forward, backward, forward, backward. Then we're going to take a step back, touching this realm of light, again 4 times, and return once more to the middle. And in a sense, then we've addressed the whole human being as a breathing being in all these realms. Starting here, right and left. And closing to the left. Once more to the right. And left. Into the depths on either side, between front and back. 4 steps forward, rising. And descending into the warmth. Forward, rising. Backward, descending. Come by the middle and lifting into the light. Shining on the head. Opening, closing. Letting this golden cap surround your head. Coming back to the middle. And once more to the right. To the left. And center. Opening. Closing. Last time, opening. And coming back to your own middle. Let's just let that rest for a minute and take a little pause. See in yourself what your own sensations or experience is. And before we go on, I'll just say a couple of other things. So one is that I might have mentioned that the eye, the health of the eye can be like a reflection of the overall health of the body, of our vitality, the vital forces, right? So sometimes, when the eyes are tired, we might know that our whole being is tired. So we want to bring rejuvenation to the whole being, which can then in turn nurture and nourish the forces that work within the eye. As I mentioned, the flexibility, the movability, the possibility to accommodate your seeing from far to close, that's always changing, right and left. In the middle of the eye are these fluids, the vitreous fluid, the aqueous fluid, and we're going to work with 2 consonants that help with this living forces for the eye and with this breathing that can also benefit the eye. So we have the L as in liveliness, and we have the M as in movability. These 2 sounds can be like sister sounds. They often work together, and for almost every sequence of eurythmy gestures that are given for different eye conditions, the L and the M are included. So they're like standard foundational things to help with our vitality and the living forces that work in us. Good. So I just wanted to give you a little moment to rest and let go of that previous exercise. And now we'll go on to the consonant gesture for L. Before we even do the gesture, let's remember our feet and feel where they are on the ground. where the heel is, the arch, the ball of your foot, the toes. You wiggle them around a little bit. You know where they are. So with supple knees, I'm just going to rock a little bit back on my heels and forward toward my toes. Very easy, rocking back and forth. Maybe we know what that feeling is when we're standing on the shore in the sand and the water is lapping around our feet. A bit of a wave movement forward and back. We're going to build our L gesture out of this rocking movement. We can go a little bit more with the knees even and back. And somehow the arms, they just want to go along, right? I'm going to let them go a little bit along. We're creating this supple, round movement until I can really bring them forward. And I'll just remind us of that exercise we did with the breathing from the sides. This buoyancy, this to the side. So we're going to let that happen as I rock back, and now I'm going to go forward and like dip into the water, lift it up past my heart and let it open and unfold above my head and down again. Gather up, lifting, unfolding. It's beautiful L. L. So I'm going to do it a few times. I'll turn a little bit sideways and let yourself rock with it. As you dip in or a bit forward, when you get up to the heart, rock backward and let it unfold over your head. As if you let the light spread around you. We're in the depths, in the heart area, or in the light. One more. This L. It's a beautiful sound, especially for this work around the eye. This is the classical way to do it. There's many variations that can be done for different eye conditions. But we have the depths, we have the heights, we have the center, we have the periphery, and we have the forward, and we have the backward. So the whole sphere is addressed. And the eyes, even very gently, we can't really see it happen. Maybe you can feel it, that sometimes when your eyes are closed, the eyeballs turn slightly in. And when you open them, they move a little bit out. So there's almost a little bit of that quality of the L that happens in the transition from closing to open. It's a little bit of a turning. So if we think about the L as this gesture that kind of overcomes matter, that encourages movement and life, that every L is like giving a bath to the eye. So let's do a few more L's. We'll do 4, and then we'll move on to the other consonant, the M. Dipping down, lifting, unfolding. Below and above. Rocking forward and backward. Unfold. Now the M is the one that's going to connect us a little bit more with far and near, with warmth and a breathing out quality. The L sort of encourages this taking in, and the M a bit more an out breathing, releasing. And we're going to do the M in a way where we're just lifting the arms gently, shoulder height. We let the palms be sensitive and sensing what's in front. But the movement, I could move my hands forward and it's just a bit like a push, but we're not going to push. We're going to let the movement sort of come from behind as if there's, let the angel move you from behind. And sense the movement that comes through you, and your arms follow all the way to the periphery. And then I'm going to let it go. I'm going to move with that M a little bit, shifting my weight as I go forward. This M. All the way to the fingertips, and let it go. Again, moving forward. M. Shift forward. And as we let it go, we shift back. And now we're going to add a variation so that we're not just going forward, but we're going to bring the M back towards us. So once more, this M, sensing through the palms. And when we get to the periphery, turn the hands so the palms open to the light up above. Let your hands be filled with light. And then we're going to bring that light back on either side of our head, over the ears. And then let it go over the shoulders just a little bit. And then I'm going to open the arms to the side. And repeat it. Forward, M. Open to the light and bring it back. Let it shine down the shoulders and then open wide. M. Opening and back. To the side. Remember this part, the part of the eye, right, is deep in the recesses in our head. And this M is like giving it acknowledging the rest of the eye. We can't see where the warmth is happening, right? Where other functions are happening deep within the eye, so that we bring a nourishment and a breathability. So I'm just going to do one more. Turn and back. Sensing how it's breathing through and then down our back. And release. So let's do 4 L's and 4 M's, and then we'll let it rest. And again, if you feel like you have a sense of it without looking, you can face another wall in your house and see in your own experience if you can experience the movement of the L and the M throughout your whole being and even around in your eyes. So 4 L's with the wave-like rocking forward, lifting and unfolding, forward and backward. Come in the front space and the back. I think one more, maybe I've done 5, that's okay. Now the M. Shift the weight forward to the periphery. Turn the hands. Bring it back on either side of the ears. Down the shoulders. Open and forward. M. Turning backward. 2 more. Last one. This time, I'm going to bring it forward one more time. And then just bring the hands all the way down toward my feet. Sort of pull my feet together and just stand in my own uprightness and let it rest. Good. So again, I'll just take a little pause here before we do the last exercise. And to let you know that I created a little bit of a reference sheet that will list all these exercises in a brief description that can be sent to all the participants. So you'll have a little guide if you want to continue to practice these on your own. And the other thing I'd like to mention is that for anyone that wants to continue work with Eurythmy for the eyes, this is just brief introduction and specific for tired eyes and computer strain. But we have colleagues, Eurythmy therapists all across the country that would be happy to work with you one-on-one. You can also contact me if you're interested, but just that, you know, to be able to work with another person face to face is really the ideal, and you're not in front of the screen, right? So Athena would be happy to connect you with colleagues in your area, Eurythmy therapists in your area. So shout out to all my colleagues out there. Good. All right, so one last exercise. And this one is the only one that we will do where we will actually engage the eyes. And I know there's a lot of eye therapies out there where, you know, to help children with their tracking and their reading and their all those things where they're really working with the eyes and the directions. And that's what's unique about this therapy, is because we're really addressing the whole human being as well as the eyes. And there are things that are more specific when we get to particular conditions like cataracts or glaucoma or nearsighted or cross eyes, all these things. But this next exercise is for the tension that can be in the neck and the spine, and as well as letting the eyes follow a path. And we're going to work with the sound of the S, as in seeing. So to start with, imagine if you're going to write an S on the chalkboard, and you would have your pen in your hand and you would just make an S, right? So that's what we're going to do, but we're going to make it as big as we are standing. So my right arm, I'm going to start way up here, and I'm going to make a big S in front of me. I'm starting on the right side and going all the way across, S and down. And then when I do the left side, it's going to be the reverse S. So it'll be a backwards S. This S. So once more, just so you get the sense of the two, that it's coming from above, down, S. Quite a lot of direction there and intentionality in that form of an S, right? S. But we're not yet engaging the neck or the spine very much. So we're going to take an open stance. And you could do this if you have a copper rod, if you don't, or have a pencil. Maybe in a minute I'll pick up a small rod that I have. But if you don't have one, you've got your fingertips. So my right arm is stretched there. And in a way, I want to find that connection between my right arm and my left foot. And we have a reaching of a diagonal there. And this other knee is supple, right? We're not stretched tight, but let it be supple. And then I'm going to watch my fingertips as I create that S from above down, and let your whole posture, I mean, we're not bending exactly, but as we watch it, feel the suppleness through your whole being. So I'm going to do this S. Maybe my other knee gets soft. S. And I follow it all the way down. And then I retrace it below, across the middle. Yes. The whole time I'm watching it. Tip of my finger. But we can also engage more of our spine and neck to let this turning and letting there be a little bit of movement there. And the way we do that is to do the S, but not keep it all in front. So I'm going to follow it here. And as I come across, instead of bringing it down in front, I'm going to bring it all the way around my back until my fingers are pointing to this opposite heel. So you'll feel your whole neck is turning this way, your shoulders are turning, and then you turn your whole spine. And now bring it back, retrace it from below, across, and up. And now I change hands, and I'm going to change it over my head. If I had a rod, I'd be passing it from one to the other. For just a moment, we connect with our center axis, our uprightness of our spine for just a moment. And then I'm going to the left up there. And I'm going to do the same thing, the S across, follow it with your eyes, follow it with your eyes all the way around the left side. Point to your right foot, retrace it, this S, back up. Let's redo that left side again. Down, across, around the back. Bring it up from below and up. And then I'm coming back to the middle and find my center. So if you don't have a rod, that's fine. I'm going to use a small one. You can use any length rod depending on how much ceiling space you have. If you only have a pencil, you could try a pencil. So I'm using a very fine one. It makes a little bit more of an extension. And I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to do it 4 times. Right side, left side, right side, left side. Each time passing overhead to the other side. And then when I finish, again, I'm going to come to the middle and bring it down right there in my center. So it's like we've gone we've really, yeah, swept way out there, left and right. And now we really come back and find our own middle, our own center, sort of a consciousness there moment. So let's try. Open stance. Right arm up. Feeling that diagonal with the left foot. Look at the tip of your rod or your fingers and make your S across and down and spin all the way around your back. Point to your other foot. Retrace. Change the other side. Left side. S. Down. Across and around the back. Retrace. S. Change overhead. S. Behind, back up. Last one. S. Connect in the middle. Come back to your own center. Sometimes when I've done this, I've actually cracked my own back. So something's working there. You can feel that movability and that flexibility can happen there. And we can also do it with a little bit different tempo, that you could have the first one really more quickly coming down, and the return having a little bit more of a resistance. So you can do it with variation and tempo. Yeah. Good. So I'd like to round off now, and then we'll have some time for questions or conversation, or if there's anything else that you would like repeated, we can do things again. But I thought I would close with, again, another picture or inspiring something for us. There was a meditation that Rudolf Steiner gave to someone, I don't have the dates, but someone that had some eye weakness. And the way that he started it was for the person that in the morning to have this imagination of my eyes begin to ray like the sun. And that was the beginning. And I think that's a beautiful thing to think about, our connection with our eyes to the sun and to the light. There's more to it than that, but just as a picture. And then the evening part of the meditation was that you would try to bring warmth and strength into your legs and feet through the depths of the heart, so that you bring that warmth and that feeling realm, yeah, that gives you strength. And then the last part of the meditation was the eye of my eyes is awakened. And so I just feel that with this work around eurythmy for the eyes, that we're not only addressing the functionality and the processes in the eyes, we're addressing our own ego presence in our seeing. How do we look in the world? How do we take things in? Do we see through the warmth of our heart? Is our whole being engaged? And this whole process of seeing is an activity of our ego, of our individuality, and just we can bring more to it, right? I mean, we see things every day, right, without even wanting impressions to come into us. But if we can be a bit more conscious with how we look and how we see, and then we also have these exercises that help the health of our whole being as well as our eyes, then maybe we can also bring a bit of a transformation in how we approach the world. So that's my little soapbox speech there. Yeah. May your eyes begin to ray like the sun. Thank you so much, and give us time to have a conversation or have questions.
Thank you, Barbara. This was very interesting. And I wanted to say to you on Tuesday when we met that I realized it's this calendar of the soul week where you talk about the eye.
Right. Only one, 51. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Thank you for that reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't see who's all there. I don't know, Raven, if there's any questions in the chat, or if you have them, you can, or comments or experiences. Happy to hear anything anyone wants to share.
There's a few thank yous in the chat, and kudos from Margaret Rosenthaler. And yeah, she said, thanks for your good work. She had to, but yeah.
Good. So much more we could do. I was hoping not to get it too complicated, so I hope it was all clear and understandable for everyone.
It was wonderful, Barbara. And it was very clear and very easy to follow. And I just appreciate the way you present these things. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Barbara, may I ask a question?
Yes.
This is Mark Ebersol.
Hi. Good.
Hey, how's it going?
Fine. Hi.
Could you just repeat those? You had just three kind of not bullet points, but from the meditation, you distilled it down to 3 lines. Could you just repeat those, please?
Yeah. So the morning, it started with my eyes begin to ray like the sun. And there's more to it than that, but yeah, just I think the picture is good. The middle part of the evening was to send into your feet the power from the depths of the heart, bringing strength from the depths of the heart into the limbs and the feet. And the last little awakening part was my eye begins, no, the eye of my eyes is awakened. The eye of my EYE. Oh, you're muted. If Mark's saying more, he got muted.
Yeah, Mark, you're muted.
Right. So the my eye being of my physical eye. Okay.
Yeah.
Just to get our eyes straight,
Yes, exactly.
Don't want to get our eyes crossed here.
No. Yeah. Good.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I would say something if I could.
Yes. Hi.
So I'm just downstairs for Barbara, and I could tell her later, but during the L and M, as I was doing the M, which I never did before, across my head, I almost started weeping because I'm doing something for myself, which is such a loving thing. How often do we actually have a feeling that we're taking care of ourselves? I just had this really thankful feeling. I almost was weeping at myself for never doing this. I should do this more often. Anyway, thank you so much.
So cool. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, I don't know, everybody's different, but that's why I encouraged us to look away, because then you might experience the movement and what happens, around you. But if we're looking at the screen and trying to do those things, for like counteracting what we could actually be working with. Yeah.
I especially like the light in the M, turning the hands consciously and then having that light in the M. Those two aspects of warmth and light in the M was really wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, Barbara, this is Mary. I could feel how when we did the L's and the M's, just how I was cold before, how I got warm. And also I had a headache and the headache's gone.
Good. I'm glad. It's
I
good.
think it works to really let you come into your being and to relax. So I really like how you bring that in such a gentle way. It's very healing.
Yeah. Hi, Barbara. It's Elsa. Hi. I also I can struggle to do things online, but I felt that it was I think your pacing was really helpful, and I was able to really turn away from the screen. And maybe if I wasn't a eurythmist, I might not have been, but I could really follow. But I really felt like I could do the exercises, and they felt so healthy. Just being able to go into this breathing, and it just felt like it was exactly this quality of center and periphery. And then in the S, this quality of maybe telling me about myself that I need to be a little bit more centered, because in following this big S through, if I wasn't connected to the center, it was like I could be totally lost in it.
Wow.
And so just that the exercise itself was really calling for that balance.
Yes.
It integrated so many things, so you could really feel all of that movement of being centered in space, and then every single direction.
Yes.
And there's a breathing in that also. So it felt like it was really also connected to the warm-ups that we did. I really appreciated that. They're great exercises.
Well, that's why you can tell why I brought us back to here at the end. It can't really take us out, which, yeah.
Thank you
for all the sharings. It's wonderful to hear.
May I ask another question?
Mm-hmm.
You started with these rhythms, the fore, back, the right, left, etc. Can you say something about how they prepare for the eye eurythmy? Yeah.
Well, partly that is a warm up, and it's partly because of, if we're thinking about being in front of the computer screen, that we want to come back into our limbs. So it's mainly for that with the rhythms, but by having the different directions of the forward and the backward and the right and the left, or the left and the right, we're reconnecting ourselves to that three-dimensional space. So that was more the beginning there, not specifically for the eyes in that sense, but for the whole being. Yeah. And those changes of direction that we know are good for building up our vital forces. Thank you.
Maria Ebersol here. I just wanted to share an experience, and there's a certain connection to the liquid element that one has throughout one life, and people are usually juicier when they're younger. When you get to a certain age, things tend to go towards a kind of drying out, and that for myself, it was the same condition with the eyes. Was very much to a point where there was actually some detachment of that inner jelly kind of mass inside from the rest of the eye, from the back of the eye. and through the M, through really repeated use of the M gesture, from 1 year to the next, it was totally healed.
Oh, that's incredible.
So it was really, and it has not come back. So knock on wood, but I'm going to keep doing those M's. It was really very, very powerful. And my eye doctor was impressed. I told him what I did. So
That's
thank you so much.
well, that's great. I love hearing that. Yeah. Yeah. I think it was Margaret or maybe another one of the teachers who would say, all you have to do is think about an L and you'll get tears. You know, it might not be for everybody, but I mean, thinking about the fluid and that could help with that. Yeah, it's wonderful too for the
Hi, Barbara. It's Leah.
Hi, hello.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Jack. I might follow a little bit on Mark's question. I think that you said when we started that the large S that one was for the eye. And
What yes.
yeah. And I learned, I mean, and also you had said earlier in the evening to work with the whole body. But I thought, well, I just wonder if there's a little more that you would say about, I'm assuming even in turning our spine, that I'm sure that there's a lot of nuance in there about how it serves the eye. I just wonder if you'd say more about that.
Well, two things. I mean, it's also for this flexibility within the neck and the spine, but you know, that process of following the eye is also enabling you to turn your head, right? So from that point of view, it's an aid to the turning, right? But maybe not specifically like for tracking of the eye or anything, but yet it does do that in a way as well, because you have to follow. And it can be hard sometimes for some people to do that, right? You get part way and then you forget, and then, oh, I realize I'm not following it anymore. So that presence of attention is a huge part. And I think then that also can help one maybe not get so pulled out, as Elsa was mentioning, when you do the S, because if you just did the S and didn't really follow it, it can be a little bit, I don't know, pull you out a little bit, I guess is the way I would say it. But through the activity of the eye and that, yeah, just the presence that it takes to follow something through your eye, that's again a real pretty strong ego activity to do that.
Thank you.
The answer.
Barbara, can I ask more about the S exercise? I have two questions. One is, would you ever do that with children who have difficulty tracking? You know, and their eyes can't follow the line of print on the page.
Right. I mean, I would think that maybe there are other things to do. I mean, the E is probably more, because there's so many things in, like, I mean, like for children that are nearsighted, you know, you can do things where, like with finger puppets and stuff, where they have to watch the finger puppet or something, or maybe you have something hanging on, if you have the colors, the silks, but if you had like a little medallion or something hanging, and then they do exercises in front of that where they're looking at that. I think S for younger child maybe is a little bit too powerful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the other question I have is, would you ever cross the S behind, lower down behind the back, and then come up from below? Is it always crossed over at the top?
Oh, I see. Try it out.
I mean, that'll be a totally different working.
Totally different. Yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, that's a good experiment, exploration. You should try it and see.
And you wouldn't have that ego crossing because I mean it's behind your back. You're in the realm of the unconscious in a way of night.
Uh-huh.
But
Well, that's a great question. Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes these things are things to try out and then see what arises through the practice.
Just to
You know, oh,
just a thought to that. You know, the S is from Scorpio, that you have the eagle above and the scorpion below, and you're
right.
really
You're
bringing
going
these two together, but you're always returning up to the eagle again, and one side. Just a thought, you know.
makes sense. Yeah.
Do you want to say something else? I thought I saw your light come.
so it just to hook on to Mary, I mean, I wouldn't know this definitively, but I would think with older children who are having trouble tracking, often that could be connected from my understanding of primitive reflexes that are retained, that it could be, there's the tonic neck reflex where it could be hard. And that is a big tracking something. Like it can really affect the ability to look up and down from blackboards and to track in that way. And I do, just hearing or just doing that, I feel like you'd be helping to integrate this movement where when with the tonic neck reflex, when you turn your head, your arms go with, that you could break that up and create this fluid movement and build that quality of freedom within that while you're watching. I could see that maybe there's something to the quality of the S and that twisting that might be helpful for that for older children.
Yeah.
But I would have to work with that and see.
Thank you.
I don't know.
I might mention one more thing. I think we get a habit of multitasking in our modern world. When I was doing the S, I really wanted to look in one place while the movement was happening. And I had to force myself to double what I was doing. It was so easy to look ahead and do the S, but it was very hard to follow. And so I think we get so used to multitasking and doing two things at once. It was nice to force myself to concentrate on one thing. Thank you.
I love the image of the angel moving from behind. I just love that. It was a real enrichment of the M. Thank you for that.
That was one thing with working with Margaret that is so beautiful because it's like every gesture should breathe, every single one, which is maybe different than the way we do some of the sounds, for metabolic issues or whatever. But yeah, it's a real gift from her.
I really loved hearing in your introduction that when you referenced that working at a screen for a long time, it's a fixed distance. And then I think what you said was that's not what the eye wants to do naturally. What the eye wants to do is accommodate. It's just such a beautiful thought.
And so that's why, I mean, I didn't go into little practicalities, that you can do if you have to work for a long time at the screen, but have a beautiful painting on the wall or be near the window. So when you are working that you can take a break and look out or take a break and look at something beautiful or just look away. Practice the changing.
Barbara, there was one other thing that I believe you'd brought another time about cupping your eyes, just really giving them darkness, but keeping your eyes open in that darkness and just letting them kind of move around. That is also another way to just give them relief.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, like a buh or like a
Yeah.
Mm.
Buh.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
I always like this example. I've given it before, so it might be old, but I'm just thinking that we have that word blink and it's a bee, and that every time we blink, we could imagine that
Little bee.
bee over our so.
I wanted to thank you, Barbara, for your presentation that made such a lovely whole, a lovely unity, that you brought the image of the eye as being part of the body, in that it has those aspects of the nerve sense and the rhythmic and the metabolic in the eye. And in that buildup, it just was so wonderful to go from moving the body and realizing that all of those realms were being recognized and activated and acknowledged and brought into, and it felt like then that just came right as a whole possibility of the movement, blessing the eye, and to finish off with the verse and to finish off with the eye of the eye. It was such a powerful experience of a kind of a wholeness of my eye and being present in that function. So yeah, it was just lovely. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure, my honor.
Thanks to Rudolf Steiner for his insight, yes, all these beautiful words. So open for more, but if you're had enough and ready to not be in front of the screen anymore, we can round off. So grateful for all of you that came, really.
Thank you, Barbara.
Yeah, good.
Really lovely.
And like I said, I think there will be a recording and a PDF that should be sent out to all of you so that you have these references.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you,
night.
Barbara. Have a good night now.
Welcome. Good night.
Thank you, Barbara. It's Connie.
Oh, hi, Connie. Yeah, good.
It was really lovely, really helpful as usual. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome.
Thank you, Barbara. This was just very special, integrating
Oh,
the whole. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Good night.
Okay.
Thank you, Raven, so much for.
Yeah, Barbara, it was wonderful. I'm gonna end the meeting unless anybody needs to stay on longer. Okay. then. See you all.
Awesome work. Just lovely.